So I want you guys to find your 5.3, 5.4. Again, if you didn't get a copy of it, they're posted under note packets in Blackboard. And if you don't have a printer, you don't have to worry about it. Just pull some notebook paper out and take some notes as if we were writing on the whiteboard in class. So just take some notes on your own. So this page is important, okay? This is going to be on your test for chapter 5 test, and this is also this chart's going to be on the final. I'm letting you know it is going to be on the final. So we need to be able to understand how to make this chart, okay? So it says arrange these fractions from smallest to largest. It's so much easier to arrange fractions if we can just put them in the decimal form, okay? So take a pause right now and see which of these you can put into decimal form, and then turn it back on and we'll do the rest together, okay? So take a pause, see how many you can convert to a decimal, and then we'll come back and work on them together. Okay, so I'm hoping that 1/2 you guys knew is 0.5, and 9/10 is exactly how you would read it, 9/10. I thought this one was easy because that would be 1/10. And this one's easy if you read this instead of 1/4. If you cook, you might read this as a quarter, like a quarter cup. And a quarter is worth 25 cents. Okay, now I'm going to skip back. If I know that 1/4 is 25 cents, then over here, 3/4, that will be 3 quarters. So I'm going to write this down. 1/4 equals 1/4. That's one way you can read that. I forgot the R. Quarter. Okay. 1/4. I mean, you could also read it as a fourth. But I think it's nice to read it as a quarter for a quarter cup, 25 cents. So 3 quarters, I'm hoping you'll know, is 75 cents, 0.75. All right, 1/100th is exactly how you read it, right? 1.01 is tenths, hundredths, 1/100th. And then the remaining ones are the trickier ones. Okay, these are a little bit trickier. And this is where, when we do the division with fractions, we're going to solve those pretty quickly. Now, I'm going to show you what this looks like on your calculator, and then when we get into division, I'm going to show you how to calculate this without your calculator. So if I put 1/3 in my calculator, I get 1/3 out. But remember, there's this change button on this calculator, this double triangle, and if I hit that, look at what happens on my calculator. 0.333333333333. All right. 0.33333 ... is a lot to write. So there's this cool way to write what's called a repeating decimal, and you just put a line above the number that repeats. Okay? So I would see this as 0.3 repeat, where I'm going to repeat the 3 over and over and over. So this is 0.3 repeat. Now look, if you know 1/3 is 0.333, then 2 times that, 2 of these 0.33333s, doesn't it make sense that it will be 0.6666666 repeat? Let's try it on our calculator. So 2/3, change, there it is, 0.6666666 repeat. And we come back to this when we do division, okay? We'll come back to this. Now remember, you're like, oh man, Kathleen, I don't have that double triangle on my calculator. Well, here, if you do 2 fraction 3 and get 2/3, remember there's a fraction to decimal key. Do you see that? F to D. So if I hit the second key first, there's your repeating decimal. Okay, so there's lots of ways that we can work these out on our calculators. And then the last one is 1/5. And I just recommend that you memorize this, but I'm going to show you one way you can convert that pretty quickly to a decimal. And that's by making it into an equivalent fraction. And the equivalent fraction I'm going to do is multiply the top and bottom by 2. Right? So I'm really multiplying by 1, but the 1's in disguise. And so do you guys see that an equivalent fraction would be 2/10? So 1/5 as a decimal is exactly how you would read it. You write it 2/10, 0.2. So now this is pretty easy to do. This is pretty easy to put in order, right? So what's the smallest number up here would be the one with the 0 after the decimal. So the fraction 1/100 would be 0.01 as a decimal. So we took care of that one. So I took care of all the point zeros. Now I have to do the point. The number that's the smallest after the decimal point is 0.1. So the next number would be 1/10, which is 0.1. Okay, do I have any 0.2s? Right there's a 0.2. Now that's 0.20, and then this would be 0.25. So 1/5 would be next, and then 1/4 would be after that. Okay, so 0.2 and 0.25, and then let's see, I took care of the 0.2s. Do I have any 0.3s? Yep, right here. So 1/3 is the same thing as 0.3 repeat. Okay, do I have any 0.4s? Nope. Do I have any 0.5s? Yep, right here. So 1/2 is the same as 0.5. Do I have any 0.6s? Yep, right here. So 2/3 is the same as 0.6 repeat. And then we got 0.7. Okay, and this last one, 9/10 is 0.9. All right, so that's how we can put those into smallest to largest. But it's nice, right, because we can do a lot of it just by comparing decimals, and I think that's a little bit easier for us than comparing fractions. All right, so estimate decimal products. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do some estimates. And then we're going to come over here and I'm going to show you how to do how to actually multiply. So doing the estimate should be pretty easy, right? Yeah. All right, let's do the estimates first. So if I were just to estimate this, I'm just going to make these whole numbers. Let's call it 77 times 11. Do you agree that 77 would be a pretty decent estimate of that? Now they don't want you to find the actual one, they just want you to find the estimate. Here, if we want to find the actual value just to check it, watch what I get. Do you see how close our estimate is? It's pretty much rock solid, right? But for the first part they just want you to do an estimate. So I'm going to call that 1 times 5,543. So I'm thinking that this product, that's really easy to do, is going to be close to that number. Not exact, but close. And this one, I'm hoping you'll agree that this will be close to 15 times 3. And 15 times 3 is 45, right? So if we're just trying to eyeball it, again, I could show you, you're going to be pretty accurate, right? Okay? So on my math lab, they don't want you to find the exact answer. They just want you to find what's close to it. That's all. So that should be okay, right? Just make it whole numbers and make it easy on yourself. Okay. Now the other part is, okay, let's make the estimate and then let's actually calculate it out, okay, without a calculator. So let's do this first one as an estimate only. So I'm hoping you'll agree that this would be 6 times 9, which is going to be pretty close to 54, right? 6 times 9 would be close to 54. All right, so to multiply this out, you can use the box, the matrix box, or, and I'm going to do both, or you can use your standard algorithm. So what I do is I just ignore the decimals, like ignore the decimals completely, and do your standard multiplication. So 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 0 is 0, and 3 times 6 is 18. Then we have that 0 placeholder. 9 times, because now we're dealing with tens, 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 0 is 0, but plus 1 is 1. And then 9 times 6 is 54. And then we add these together. Okay. Now look, 54 is not even close to 55,986. So this is where you have to count the number of decimal places. So what you need to do is count the total decimal places to the right of your decimal. So 1, 2, 3. There's 3 digits to the right of these decimals. 1, 2, 3. So that's what you want to count over, starting with the right of your number. 1, 2, 3. And plant your decimal. So then you'll have the same number of digits to the right of your decimal as the sum of the digits to the right of the decimal in your factors. So now do you see that 55 and 986 thousandths is the same as, or very close to 54. Okay, so I'm going to do this one, but I'm going to do it with the box. So if you like the box that we make, it will be easy to multiply. So as an estimate, I would say this is about 42 times 2, which is pretty close to 84. So if you like the box, which I do personally, we're going to have a 3-digit by 3 digits. So we need a 3 by 3 box. I'm just doing this to remind you what it looks like. So we've got 421 and 226. We're going to ignore the decimals. We just ignore them. Don't forget we need our chutes. So I'm going to give you a pause. Even if you don't like using this, just try it. Just try it. Just play with it. Learn something new. You don't have to use it, but it's kind of fun to use, I think. So take your time, make the box, and then you just do all of the little mini multiplications in here. So 4 times 2 is 0, 8. 2 times 2 is 0, 4, right? Do you see what I'm doing? So then I'm going to do it again. This looks like this is going to be the same exact row. And now I got to do the 6's. So 4 times 6 is 24. 2 times 6 is 12. And 1 times 6 is 6. And then we add in the chutes. So 6, 4. So this will be 11. And I know some of you struggled with that. So it would be a 1, and then I just put a 1 somewhere in the next chute. So that's 1 plus 2 is 3. Do you see what I mean? And then 11 plus 8 is 11. Plus 4 gives us 15. And then just put the 1 somewhere. I'll put it there. And then add all these numbers up. So that'll be 9. Okay? So, I mean, it's not exactly close, but it's fairly close. Okay, so let's write those out. Let's write that number out. So we have 95146, and now we got to count. So we have 1, 2, 3 digits to the right of the decimal. So I'm going to need to shift my decimal 1, 2, 3. So now I have 3 digits to the right of the decimal. Okay, not too terribly close, but it's pretty close, right? These were a little both over the number, so I know my product should have been a little bit over that, but I'm hoping you got the right idea. Now this one's interesting because I would say it's 12 times 0.5. I don't want to say 1 and I don't want to say 0, but do you agree that 0.5 is just a half? So taking 12 times a half, or half of 12, which should just be 6. I don't know. I'm going to try it with the box again, and then I'll do this one with the algorithm just to mix it up. I just want to show you what this one would look like. So this is a 4-digit box by 2 digits, right? We just need 0.51, and then we need 1, 2, 3, 4. We need a box for the 1, the 2, the 1, and the 3. And then going up and down, we have the 5, 1. And then we just need our chutes. Again, you don't have to do it this way. If you like the standard algorithm, go for it. I just think the boxes are kind of cool. So 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 1 times 5 is 5. And 3 times 5 is 15. And then anything times 1 is itself. So we'll have 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. And 3 times 1 is 3. And then we just add the chutes. 3, that adds up to 6, this adds up to 8, this adds up to 1, and that'll add up to 6. So we're going to have 6, 1, 8, 6, 3, and then let's count. You ready? Got to place our decimal. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 digits to the right of the decimal. So I need 4 digits to the right of the decimal here. So I just say, here's my decimal, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. So that will give me 4 digits to the right of the decimal. So we're pretty close, 6 and 6.1, right? I'm hoping that makes sense. So why don't you maybe pause the video and try that one. I'm just going to do it with the standard, so if you're a standard algorithm lover, then we'll do it with the standard algorithm. Remember, ignore the decimal, and then we'll pop the decimal back in after you do the product. So take your time if you like it. If you don't like this method, then make your box, a 3x1 box, and make your that lattice and go for it. Come back when you're ready. Okay, so 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 2 is 16, 17, 18, 19. And then 8 times 5 is 41. Oh, I forgot to do the estimate, but that's okay. Okay. So now, let's see, we have 1, 2 decimal points, or digits to the right of the decimal. So if I shift my decimal 2 places to the left, that's going to ensure that I have 2 digits to the right. Okay, so that product is 41.92. Now I want you to get comfy with your calculators too, so if you want to check that one with your calculator, see where the decimal point is, and then you can check all this too with your calculator. So let's take our time and write out the rules. So rule number 1 is just multiply the two factors. And ignore the decimals. Or I should have said, ignore the decimal and multiply the two factors, right? We're going to ignore it. And now you need to place your decimal. So now add the number of digits to the right of the decimal in each factor. Okay. To place the decimal in your product, count to the right this number of digits, and then count to the left. You're going to move your decimal place to the left this number of digits and place your decimal. So you're going to, I'll let you copy that down. Add the number of digits to the right of the decimal in each factor, and then to place the decimal in your product, count to the left this number of digits, and that's where you place your decimal. So get that down. Right, get that down. And then we'll review it. So for example, we multiplied this by ignoring the decimals, and then we counted the number of digits to the right of the decimal in each factor. So that's 1, 2, 3. And then once we had this written, then to place the decimal, count to the left this number of digits, 1, 2, 3, and that's where you place your decimal. Okay. Now we have already done these, so I'm just going to review it. I don't know if you guys remember multiplying and dividing by powers of 10. But you remember what you do is you do a decimal shift by the number of zeros that you have. We called this the shortcut rule. Okay, so I'll remind you of it. We'll write the rule down, and then we'll see if you remember it. So to multiply by powers of 10, you look at the 0, and that's the number of decimal places you're going to shift to the right. So this will be 1234.5 would be the product of 123 and 45 hundredths. You're going to shift the decimal one place to the right because you have 1 0. Okay, let's try this one, and then I'll come back and do this. So I have 2 zeros, so I'm going to shift the decimal 2 places to the right and then plant the decimal. You don't have to write the decimal there if you don't want, right? Usually you don't see one hanging out at the end. So what happens if here's your decimal and you want to shift it to the right 1 0? What did you guys remember what we did? Remember we filled in with a 0 if you had a space, an extra space. So this one, we're going to shift the decimal 3 places to the right. 1, 2, 3, and plant. So this decimal goes away. and then we have to fill in with a 0. So now I'm going to write this out. If you want to put the decimal there, you can, but you don't have to if it's at the very end of the number. So this says shift the decimal 3 places to the right. So how can you easily multiply by a power of 10? So you're just going to shift the decimal to the right by the same number of zeros in your power of 10. So write that down and then practice with these. Turn off the video and come back on and we'll see how you did. Okay, so this would say move your decimal 2 places to the right. So 1, 2, so 2, 3, 4. This would say move your decimal 4 places to the right. I'll write that down. 4 places to the right. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and plant the decimal. So I'm going to rewrite that number, and the decimal point is going to be stuck now between the 2 2's. Okay. All right, for this guy, I move it 3 places to the right. Now look at my number, and I shift this 3 places to the right. Do you see I run out of numbers? So then don't forget to fill that one in with a 0. So you'll have 149,310 decimal. You can fill that in with a comma. So this says shift your decimal. Here it is. If you don't see it in a number, it's right at the end. 2 places to the right. So 56,000. I'm running out of ink. Oh, I think I did. I ran out of ink. So 56,100. Okay. 2 places to the right. 1, 2. So 76 and 54 hundredths. 1 place to the right. So 430 and 87 hundredths. And this is 1 place to the right. So 0.08 or 8 hundredths. All right. That is where we're going to end it today. So on Friday, we'll start with division, okay? And that'll be our last video before break. And then I'm going to give you some pretty clear instructions about the OWL that will be posted on Blackboard. And we're going to pretend that that's like an exam. So there's going to be instructions where you're going to upload Blackboard, meet me on Zoom, and then you're going to post it on Blackboard because we need a secure site to post your exams. And then we'll talk about when the exam will be after break. It will be on Wednesday on the Chapter 4 material. You're going to have sign-up times to sign up at 3 different times on Wednesday. And after spring break, we're going to take it, but we'll sign up over spring break so we can all get organized and ready to start taking some exams on Blackboard. Okay? But it's nothing to worry about. It'll be a very clear and seamless transfer of doing it in a Zoom classroom. So I'm going to be watching you just like we would be in class. So it's not going to be too hard of a transfer. Okay? So always let me know if you have questions. Tell me you want to do a Remind or do a Zoom room through Remind, and I will see you in less than a minute. All right? Take care, and we will talk to you Friday.